If I were a brand, my slogan would probably be So I'm Phil, work here in Sweden for Shimano. Shimano, a big bicycle company, and I look after all things marketing and all things digital for them across the Nordics. So we're based here in Sweden, but covering all of the Nordic countries. I think it's building a connection with people. So we work a lot with business to business marketing rather than necessarily business to consumer marketing. But I think the story is still the same, how you connect with people and build an emotional attachment to what it is you're trying ultimately to sell to them. For me, that's the core of marketing. You can have fancy visuals, you can have cool videos, you can do amazing stuff on social media, whatever you need. But unless you're building that connection, then it's all for nothing, I would say. I think it's on the emotion that it builds. If I think of the best video adverts I see, Thailand always comes to mind. You always see these clips of Thai TV commercials, and they always build this story where you get really emotionally invested. Emotion that it builds with you, I think that's really what differentiates an amazing piece of marketing to just a good piece of marketing. I think it's to be curious, to have that desire to explore everything. It doesn't matter if it's related necessarily to the job you're doing or the specific role that you're in, but going out and just having an interest in the world and how things work. I think that's what really pushes you and propels you through the early part of the career. People take notice when you're curious, when you're asking questions, not just for the sake of asking questions, but when you're genuinely interested in the outcome or the reason behind something or how something works. I think if I went back in time to the early days when I was in the UK, really to be more curious and more inquisitive about everything that's going on around me. The one that comes to mind is an old TV advert for, I think it was Sony, and it was a shot of all of these apartment buildings, I think in the UK, and paint just exploded. And it was around the time that IT and digital technology was starting to become more and more prevalent in media. And the question started of, is this computer generated or is it real? And eventually it came out that they had actually wired up all these explosive paint cans all over these buildings and it was real. But the reason I think that it stuck so much was that was the first point that digital tools became kind of almost indistinguishable from real. By being out there and meeting customers and meeting people, going out and understanding what it is that consumers want, really speaking to them, understanding them, being a consumer myself. So what would I like to see? What gets me excited? What do I take notice of? And also for our B2B marketing, what do the shops, what do our dealers want, what do our customers want, what do they expect from us to support them to be able to sell the products ultimately to the end consumers. Whether or not you agree with them is different, but listening to them and hearing them, I think that's the most important thing you can do. So back when I was working in the Middle East, the Egyptian government, they released a new law for universal health insurance, which was effectively every Egyptian citizen was entitled to free healthcare. And they were looking for a company to come in and build the kind of digital platform to support that. And one of the things that we did that set us apart and ultimately got us the deal was really to spend a lot of time in Egypt with the people, in the towns, in the cities, sending teams out there to really connect with them and understand what are the challenges of healthcare in those towns, in those cities. The Minister of Health, the Deputy Minister of Health, the CTO of the ministry, they really saw and really understood that we weren't just there with PowerPoint presentations and some nice content, but really the story and the connection that we had to what they were trying to achieve was something completely different to what they'd seen before. So the result was, over the first 3 months of running the program, we had, I think, 7 million Egyptian citizens, maybe 5 to 7 million Egyptian citizens that signed up for the program. These were people that had never really had an interest in kind of looking after themselves, in managing their own healthcare, in managing the healthcare of their family and their loved ones. We were almost caught unaware by kind of how successful it was in that initial rollout. So back when I was working in the UK, we had developed a new piece of software. This was in the early days of mobile devices, and it was an app on your phone that would allow nurses and healthcare professionals and people out in the community to visit patients and see their details, their history, capture notes. We got a spot at a conference in the UK. Hundreds and hundreds of people came along, nurses and doctors and all sorts from the whole country. And when it came time to show it, this was the moment. We had built up the audience, we got them really excited. Nothing worked. It was not very pleasant to go through. The learning is, it doesn't matter how much preparation you do, there'll be something that goes wrong, and the only thing you can do is kind of think on your feet a little bit and kind of accept and acknowledge, this isn't going as well as I hope. Use humor a little bit to kind of get over your embarrassment and just try and soldier on through it. I think it's about the next generation of talent, to be honest. I mean, I've spent 15 or so years now going through my career, learning a huge amount, traveling all over the place. I think actually what's interesting is how we share that knowledge and how we do something with it. So for new people starting in their career, or people even changing their career midway through, what can we learn to them? What can we share to them? Be curious about the unknown. That for me is the most important thing. If I was a brand, if I was a company, I'd want to explore everything, not have a specific industry, but just explore cool stuff. Be curious about things that I didn't know. So be curious about the unknown, I think would be quite a cool brand line for my brand.